What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions. I am going to let the team know that we are live. If you guys haven't heard of us or don't know anything about us, this is TechBud Solutions. We are a free platform. Pretty much what I did is I started sharing my best practices with a couple friends, early on from like 2021. And then I kind of started this group with close friends, about 5 friends. And then now it's led to this group of, with all the different platforms we have available, a little bit over 7,700 members worldwide. So it's been growing a lot quicker, right, than expected. And it's been such an amazing experience overall with all the different people that have joined, all the different experience levels, and kind of now we've built this whole platform. Or we share best practices, we share mistakes, and then we share kind of our whole thought process when trading, in an effort to give one another a better understanding on how to trade. So it's been a very welcoming environment. And I do want to thank you for all those that have participated. It looks like our chat room's definitely seen a lot more volume. And I want to encourage you guys, if you guys have any questions, don't feel free, feel free to reach out to me, but also feel free to ask the group. I feel like a lot of you reach out to me and just DM me directly because you guys are discouraged that they're dumb questions or anything like that. The whole point of this group is to ask questions. I think that's one of the biggest flaws within. I don't want to say a flaw, but just something that I wish they could improve on. In the United States, school system is that asking questions is somewhat like discouraging, right? If you're in a classroom, you don't want to feel dumb and ask questions, especially when you're in a group with hundreds, if not thousands, of entrepreneurs. You don't want to be the odd one out. But again, this group has a wide band of individuals, and the more you know, the more you ask, the more you know. And why not know as much as you can? So again, I highly encourage you to ask any questions, ask anything that you guys feel you guys can benefit from. But again, do understand that we do have a series of videos that are called helpful videos within my YouTube channel, and it's about I believe 15 videos that I've made so far. They're called helpful videos. They go into detail about different frequently asked questions. So I want to make sure that you guys do your diligence and see what's out there before asking questions, because some questions can be very repetitive. But if you see all our videos and none of them kind of touch base on kind of what you wanted to ask, again, that's what the group is for. Ask the question. You can tag me if you guys want my attention. Tag me on the post or DM me. But that'll definitely be the best way to reach out to me. So again, thank you guys all for taking time out of your Sunday, to participate in today's event or weekly recap. Last week we had an amazing week. It was those gold-based companies that we really, I think, benefited from. Saw a huge just increase in volume. And we're able to trade, the support and resistance levels, being able to break multiple resistance levels. I think this group has done a very good job really chasing momentum stocks. And what that means is stocks with a lot of volume. If you guys use anything like TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, it allows you to track volume. And instead of tracking, the green stocks to the red stocks, maybe you guys should have it on, the highest volume to lowest volume. And then again, like we said, I don't want, if the stock is in the red or if in the green, I don't want that to be, deciding factor, if that's discouraging or not. And what I mean by that, there's a video that I made that talks about why I love chasing red stocks. And again, we're day traders. So although the stock might be in the red, that gives us even more potential for it to, have a bounce with higher volume. And what I mean by that is, as day traders, our job is to indicate, where the support is, so where it's going to bounce, set up a plan where we're buying, where we're selling, and where we're going to cut our losses just in case it continues to, go back down. So I think that's something that we've done very well in. There's been multiple stocks that have been introduced to, TechBud Solutions. And I think the best way to grow your watch list is not just by, asking, what it is that we're trading, but to take notes, see what it is that we're talking about within TechBud. It doesn't mean that you have to trade it. But again, as you continue to develop yourself as an investor and as a trader, continue growing your watch list. Just add these stocks to your watch list. And once you develop yourself as a trader and know how to identify a stock as a good stock, then you can do and perform your technical analysis with all the different indicators that you have learned. And then from that, now you have a series of stocks, a series of items that you can analyze and see if you can identify potential. And again, not all of them are going to be at that buy point, right? And you have to understand that. That's why we talk about being patient. And not all of them are going to be at that sell point. So, it's all about understanding how to trade, having the account to trade, having the experience to trade, and then, setting up a plan and actually executing. So I actually don't have access to the chat room right now, and I'm going to put down my volume. But I'm going to do it in 3 different ways. So today's Sunday Stock Talk is going to be done at 6:55, just because I have a meeting, a couple meetings today. So let's see. But I want to make sure that I get through, majority of your guys' questions, and that, let's see. Wow, there's a lot of messages already in the chat room. Okay, well, that's really cool. It looks like all right, so it looks like you guys are really excited for this week. All right, so we're gonna split this up, and I'm sorry, I was just trying to read some of the questions. So I have a couple different things that I kind of want to talk about this week. But we're gonna start off with talking about how last week went, right, for about 5 minutes. We're gonna talk about for about 10 minutes, a couple questions that you guys might have, and then the last 10 minutes we'll get to the technical analysis. So I hope you guys are okay with that. So again, recapping last week, I already touched base a little bit on that. Gold was a stock because of the news that they released about increasing interest rates within the United States. Although gold isn't necessarily, the direct correlation for it doesn't directly back up the dollar anymore. It did before, and usually when our economy sees a dip, gold prices rise. So I'm gonna make sure that you guys are aware of that. I did speak to another investor within our group, another member, and he reminded me that we're getting closer to the summer months, right? And by understanding that is a lot of oil companies are going to start hiring more people, because during the summer people tend to travel more, meaning spending more money on gas. So I want to make sure you guys are aware of those trends, and perform your own technical analysis and kind of build your watch list for oil companies and just different companies that can, in a sense, see growth because of this increase in revenue that oil is going to see within the summer months. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. I'll probably make a separate and specific video, kind of touching base a little bit more on that and kind of what I'm going to do. But again, I want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. So last week, an amazing week. Overall, I really didn't see any big issue. As I don't know if you guys have any questions. It looks like really the stocks that I was trading, if you guys saw, I almost traded NUGT every single day within the 5 days that we were trading. JNUG was one that I jumped into kind of midweek, and then I did JDST, which we saw a huge spike. I remember looking at JDST, and it was at like 1350. It had right of resistance, so it had a huge dip, right? It had from $18, dipped all the way down to like $13, and then was picking up. It hit like 1350, so I knew that was a resistance because it went back down to 1330, and then was coming back up. So it set its support, set its resistance, and there was a huge gap. So within that huge gap, I didn't know, but it was almost a direct kind of just mirror image of like for the graphs of JNUG and NUGT. And what I mean by that is JDST spiked up when NUGT and JNUG spiked down. And by doing that, there's one of the members within our group that actually acknowledged that and indicated that and shared it. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. So what I did was I jumped in on JDST at 1360, and I shutted it out, right? I kind of shut it out beforehand when it was at like 1350. And one of the members was like, hey, I actually shutted the stock out and I got in at 1330. I thought, or $13. And that was amazing, right? I saw the potential. I was like, well, I can definitely go long on this one. That was my plan. But then when I identified that it was a direct correlation to like JDS, JNUG, and NUGT, another gold-based company, JDST launched and it went from 1370 to 1380, broke 14, and continued rise, broke $15. And it went to 1540, and then that's when it hit a resistance and then started coming back down. And I was like, oh man, am I really going to give up all the profit that I just made? So then I saw NGT and JNUG after they took a huge dip when JDST started spiking. Those stocks started bouncing, and then JDST started coming back down. So I cut my losses and I sold. Not cut my losses, I set a stop loss, and I ended up just locking in my profits. It was an amazing day. A bunch of traders were able to jump in, which was an amazing thing because they saw, the potential. They identified what their plan was, the support, the resistance, how they were going to cut their losses. And I think that's the beautiful thing about this group is that, a member shouted it out. That means that I added JDST to my radar or my watch list, right? And by doing that is I didn't have to trade it, that specific moment. But when I was going through kind of just my watch list and what was seeing, a big increase in volume, because I kind of strayed away from watching, because on TD Ameritrade, it lets you put your watch list and you get to organize it, kind of, eBay can do from like highest price to lowest price or lowest price to highest price. I had it from, largest growth to lowest growth. So all the green stocks on the top, all the red stocks on the bottom. And I pushed away from that. And what I started to focus on more was volume, because I knew volume was a good indicator on, if there's an increase in volume, regardless of kind of, if it's in the red or if it's in the green. I really just wanted to identify support, buy it, see the volume increase, and sell it, and then that's it. It's kind of a new way of trading. It's called momentum trading, right? So I'm sure a lot of you are aware of it, but it's just a new style. And JDST just ended up working. I had a good plan. I actually had a plan to sell at $18 because I thought I was going to make it all the way to 18. But again, JNUG and NUGT were one of the companies that almost were directly just mirroring whatever JDST was doing. So huge shout out to the member that shouted it out, that was able to identify kind of that mirror image. And with that, I was able to lock in huge amounts of profit. I believe $484. And it was within a couple of minutes. It wasn't even the stock that I was watching in the morning. But again, it's kind of, I was just navigating through. I saw that it had a huge random spike in volume. And then I saw kind of the resistance and the breaking point, that it didn't really have any real resistance after 1350. The only other resistance was at $18. So we call those gappers. And I'll probably be making a video on that since a lot of you guys were asking. But again, yeah, that was my week. I hope you guys enjoyed last week. There was a lot of members that were able to started sharing kind of the screenshots of profit. I want to make sure that if you guys don't feel comfortable sharing your screenshots, don't feel that you have to. Again, it's this group is for you to feel comfortable and for you to feel welcomed. And I want to make sure that we just continue to just continue that. And that's really just it. I think we're on a good route to a really good group, a really good platform, and a really simple and unique platform, because I feel like penny stocks and day trading is such a gray area for people, that it has a really bad connotation with it. And I want to really push away from that. I really want it to be, I don't want to be telling anyone what to trade. I don't want to be telling you, exactly how to trade or what to trade. I think what can really lead an individual to success is, educating them on, what has worked for other entrepreneurs and other investors, sharing best practices and sharing mistakes in effort for them to not be able to, for them to not repeat those mistakes. And in doing that, we have simulation trading, so you don't actually have to risk anything. And if you see potential, if you see that you can actually make money, then, that's when you can start, and that's when you can actually start, funding your account and actually trading with real money. But again, I want to completely push away from telling people what to trade in, and there's going to be members as this group continues to grow. I mean, we started with 1,000 members within January of 2017, and now we're at 7,700, and I think I checked yesterday, 7,732. There's about 100 members that joined today, so it's growing very quickly, and it's going to be harder for us to control and filter out these people. But I just want to remind you guys that the type of people and type of investors that I would like you guys to be, and that's honest investors, and that's investors that not only want to benefit from the market, but also want to help others. And I think overall, the growth that we would see, although we're going to get random people that are going to try to spam us, I feel we're a very close knit group community, right? At least I'd like us to be, right? That's how I've perceived us, and I've been getting that feedback from you guys. So I definitely want to continue on, going on that. So that's enough. That's enough. I'm just reading a little bit more. Okay, so there's a lot of I'm going to start answering your guys' questions, and there's a lot of good messages that are going through, and this is through the live chat on the YouTube page. So for all those that are trying to message me on the Facebook platform or anything like that, or group chat, please make sure that you guys are messaging me through only this platform. Okay, so I'm going to be answering this for about 5 questions. Should I use Robinhood or TD Ameritrade? We have a video talking about, and this is coming from Kamira said. We have a video talking about kind of what brokerage companies should you choose, and it comes down to identifying yourself as what kind of trader you are and what you're looking for. So I'd suggest you to watch that video, and then maybe you'll have a better understanding on what brokerage company you should choose. Play around with $100 until you get the hang of it. Okay, let's see. So Stephen Benick says DUST are ETFs, so short of gold miners, JNEG and NUGT are ETFs for long, and GT stands for exchange. Yep. Okay. So if you guys want, you guys can start asking questions, anything that you guys would like me to answer. So what's the best way, this is by Stephen Blakeham, this is a really good question. What's the best way to really tell if you have the correct support? And again, there's multiple support and resistance levels. Like we know, once you break a resistance, it becomes a support as it continues to rise. And when it comes back down, it'll most likely bounce at that support. So how do you know when you're in at a good support? I think the reason that I started trading like kind of larger cap stocks, in the sense I try to stay away from any stock that's under $1. And the reason why is because it gives me more margin or more just a larger number to focus and identify that, if I identify support at $1, and we're talking about percentage, right? If I identify support at $1 and it's coming down, right, and I try to get in at $1 because I kind of see that as to be the support, it's really hard for me to indicate that it's bouncing, right? Because when it goes to 102 or 103, it's already up 3%, and now it's only 7% profit. So just the profit that you can see or try to catch, you kind of have to make a decision a lot quicker. With like JNEG or NUGT, companies that are like $5 or more, you in a sense need 50 cents to see that full 10% profit. So let's say you see that $5 to be the support and it comes down, right? Identifying the support at $5, it doesn't mean that you have to get at $5. You can use that EMA or SMA indicator to show that upward momentum, to show that bounce. And once you indicate that the candlesticks are above the EMA line, that it's bounced at that support, now you have a better indication that it's bounced. It doesn't mean that you have to get in at $5. You can get at 505, 50, 510. And by doing that is, you're at least more secure that you got in at the bounce rather than trying to get in at the lowest point and then, hope that it bounces, because that's where you identify the support. So I think what I'm trying to say is that, make sure you indicate that upward momentum to indicate that to be as a support. You do have to react pretty quick, but again, set up your plan, let the indicators indicate that it's showing upward momentum, and then, jump into it if that's what you find right to be. But yeah. What platform do you recommend in Canada? I was speaking to one of our members, Harrison, and he asked me that same question. I know Fidelity is a platform that you guys can use in Canada. I'm not too familiar with any members or any brokerage companies in Canada, so I would suggest, kind of doing a little bit more research and actually calling those brokerage companies and seeing, asking those representatives, the professionals, the pros and the cons about that platform. So Andrew Hawley asked when I use a scanner, and then he goes into what parameters I find ideal to find the ideal stock for swing trading or day trading. I don't use any scanners. I perform technical analysis on almost every single stock every single day, and that's how I identify the potential. That's how I see the best kind of return or quality, right? I haven't gotten into scanners, but it's definitely something that we're looking into when developing the platform for you guys. But as of now, I'm not too familiar with it, so I'll probably link up with someone that is familiar with scanners that's set up a pretty good one, and see if we can make a video for you guys to help you guys out. So looking forward to the next 1K to 20K challenge. That was a challenge video that I put out last week. It did very well. And it looks like a lot of you guys were very excited. There were a lot of questions and suggestions that were sent out to me, and I'm definitely going to take that into consideration when I make the follow-up video and kind of talking a little bit more about it. And it doesn't have to be exactly what I'm doing. It's kind of, again, this challenge is more to motivate you and to keep you on track, meaning that I want you guys to have a goal and I want you guys to stay on track. And although, your goal might be 20,000, by having this goal, it's kind of make you work a little bit harder. And if you end up with 10,000, then, at least you stayed on track to hit, 50% of what your goal was. And then by next year, since you're going to have a larger account, then you'll continue to see, a return. And again, I'm trying to teach long-term trading, right? I'm trying to assist you guys in long-term. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. You're not going to see millions and millions of dollars in return. And I want to make sure that you guys understand that. I mean, I've been day trading for quite a while, and it's, I don't solely just live off of my profits for day trading. I have multiple different things that I do. I have a normal job, and it's just an extra source of income that I'm willing to work for because of the lifestyle or kind of just the life that I want to make for myself. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that. Okay. And I'm going to make a follow-up video, so I'll be doing that. So now let's get into the technical analysis for the different stocks. So I want to pick 3 stocks, and it's going to have to be, or let me pick 3 stocks that you guys want me to perform a technical analysis in. So go. I want to see which one's the most popular one. I don't see anything. No, let's see. Anyone watching CLSN for this week? That's by CLSN. I saw that one being talked about a lot. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And I'll talk about CLSN. So I hope you guys had a good called St. Patty's Day. It looks like a lot of you were having a lot of fun, and it tends to be a pretty popular holiday within the States. Not too sure why, but a lot of people like drinking, so I think that has to do with it. All right, CLSN, I saw right away that I had an indicator. In my Fidelity platform, it has like a little kind of sign with an exclamation mark in between, kind of showing me that it has not met NASDAQ requirements. I'm going to make a video on that, but that means that it's on track to get delisted. So this is definitely not one that you want to hold overnight. And it looks like within the past 1 month, it's had nice spikes, but overall this might be like manipulation right before it actually gets delisted. So wow, I wasn't looking down when all these started coming through. DRYS is one that's all right, so I'm gonna do CLSN. I'll do a quick one on DRYS. I'll do one on tops. All right, and then CERU. Remind me to do that one. I'm going to start sharing my screen. So this was the little indicator that I was telling you that it shows me. But this is what I see with CLSN. This is a 10-day analysis. This is daily, but we can actually change it to 10 minutes. I've seen that within the past 6 months, that's been on a downward trend. It's kind of plateaued here around this 20-cent mark, so we can identify that as a support, right? But again, understanding that this indicator that it might get delisted is not a good sign, and I definitely would not suggest to hold this one. So overall, and kind of where it stands is understanding that there was a support at 20 cents. It's most likely a support around 25 cents, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go ahead and see kind of where it tends to bounce. Yeah, right around 25 cents. So it's getting around this low point, right? There's a nice resistance right here. touched once, touched twice, doesn't mean it can repeat it. Of course, doesn't mean that it has to. Definitely not, right? So setting up a plan is, again, identifying upward momentum. So we can go to indicators, go to EMA, and it plays out perfectly. So again, you don't have to get in at the lowest point. It's about understanding that there's a support here, understanding that there's a resistance here, and waiting for the bounce. So right now, the candlesticks are below this line, showing downward momentum. Once they start to bounce, if they bounce at 25 cents, I would wait until they cross and start showing an upward momentum. And when it does, then you can set up your plan. All right, I'll buy in at 25 cents or 25 and a half. I'll sell here at 30 cents, locking in more than 10% profit. So again, don't get greedy and understand kind of where the resistance are. Although 34 cents is the top point, you're gonna have to hold for a couple days, which I wouldn't suggest. So there's also another resistance that it's hit from this bounce of 25 cents to 30 within 1 day, and it's gone again from 25 cents to 30 within 1 day. So it's definitely possible. It's just about setting up a plan, minimizing loss and promoting growth. Again, managing risk. But yeah, that's my analysis on TLSN. Let's do one on DRYS. DRYS really surprised me that it's been holding so well. It's at 167. Past couple of days, it's been showing downward momentum really because of where it was at, right? Since it's been trading at highs of 210, it's definitely not holding at that point. So I'm thinking there's going to be a sudden, huge drop all the way back down to the 130, 120 range. And it's been touching, first it touched it a little bit here at the 165, came back up, then it went below it. And then now it's kind of, flatlining around 165. So what I'm thinking this upcoming week is we'll most likely see it make its way down to this level of 148 to 165. And then probably continue to bleed back down to this 130, 120 range. But again, I might be wrong. Again, use your different indicators, set up a plan. Yes, this upcoming week I was wrong with DRYS. Ended up bouncing from where I thought this huge low point at 160, ended bouncing and hitting 180, 190. And again, I'm not always correct. That's why you guys, as your investors, have to do your own research and see if you can identify a stock. I'm not always watching DRYS, so a good thing that you guys can do is set your alerts. You can set your alerts when it goes above, if it's right now bouncing at 165, I'd set my alerts if it goes below 165, indicating that it's dropping down, and set your alerts if it goes above 170, as we can see that it's been struggling to go above 170. So identifying that, you might catch it at a good point, being able to get in at 175, being able to get out at 190, and setting a trailing stop loss as it rises. But definitely it does have potential, but I see it going down more than going up. Let's do CERU. Wow, this one's it's $3.30. Not wow, it's actually showing a lot of growth. I actually do think I remember this one when it had this huge spike. It was talked about a lot within our group. It's definitely, might be overvalued. There's a different indicator called RSI. Let's see what that says. This kind of just indicates where it stands. It's kind of more at that sell point based on where it's at. The buy point was more at this, it kind of showing that this was a support. Right now it's hitting more of a resistance, and the way that you can identify that is that it's touched this point about 1, 2, 3 different times, and now it's there kind of the 4th time. So I'd say a better buy point when you can indicate upward momentum would be at this point around this 270, 280 mark, and being able to catch it. But again, this 345, 350 point is a resistance. So if it breaks above that resistance, like we know, it becomes a support. So then it can be a whole nother level. Just make sure you're safe. You follow, cut losses anything lower than 2.5%, and set up a plan every single time you guys trade. But definitely, this is one that I'm definitely going to add to my watch list. And then the last one was, what was it again? How about you guys remind me what it is that they said? You guys aren't reminding me. Oh, tops. You guys are right. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I remember because this is the one that we traded. So tops is one that we caught pretty good. As you guys can see with these bounces that it's been having, it's right around this 180 resistance. Hasn't been able to break that 205 price point, as you can see right here. We're going to get a little bit closer kind of on how it played out and change it to change it to 10 days so I can change the frequency to 10 minutes. But there's a resistance obviously right here, and there's more so of a support. Overall, the support was here around the 180, but it's been bouncing a little bit better around that 185 point. So I'm going to get even a little bit closer to see kind of where it stands. Right now, being at the 197, it's too close to that resistance. But what I'm waiting for is for it to break above 205. Again, not being greedy, not trying to jump in. I'm trying to be patient, making sure that it's indicating upward momentum. And if I can indicate that, then a good buy point, because I know that the resistance is right around, again, understanding that this is a $2 stock. There's a resistance at 240, right? So if I can buy in anything around this 205, if it breaks that resistance, that can lead to a huge spike all the way up to the 240, being able to lock in 35 cents with profit. So again, that would be ideally my plan. I remember analyzing this one, but also if it drops below 85 cents, it can have a huge downward trend. So it's about being patient, making sure that the indicators and the alerts that you set indicate upward momentum or downward momentum, and then that's your job as an investor to choose to go in or not. I think a lot of you guys have been having trouble being able to indicate, good stocks to jump in and good stocks to jump out on. And I think it really comes down to not really understanding how to identify a good stock. So again, don't overwhelm yourself. Limit yourself to 2 to 3 different stocks, even 1 to 2. Again, you're not here to prove yourself to anyone. You're not here to show off. Make it easy for you. Set up a plan, see where you find a support or resistance. You guys have been, sending me beautiful technical analysis charts with your support, resistance, different indicators that I don't even know of. It's been amazing being able to see how much you guys have been able to learn just with simple things that I kind of exposed you guys to, but you guys just run with it. And I think that's the great thing about this group. So again, set up a plan, identify support and resistance, where you're going to cut your losses. And with that, that you can manage your loss, manage your risk, right? And if you feel comfortable enough and you feel like you've proved it to yourself with the simulation trading or paper trading, then go for it if you find that to be what you want to do. But I do want to thank you guys all again for participating in today's Sunday Stock Talk. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, you guys know how to reach out to me. Again, if you guys comment, just because I've been seeing a larger amount of comments within my videos, that wouldn't be the best way. The best way is now through the group chat platform, and we are in the works of the I have brought on a couple developers within TechBud Solutions to design this beautiful platform, and I'm really excited for what it is that we're going to create with one another, and hopefully I can introduce you guys to the team that we're building for that specific field within TechBuds or group. But yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you guys again for all your support and all your hard work, and again, being patient and trying to share best practices and being kind to one another. It doesn't have to be a bad vibe within this group. I saw a couple messages earlier within today that were kind of, not appropriate or just not really what should be talked about within this group. I don't want to tell you guys, you guys are adults or, smart people. You guys are wanting to invest. So I say, as smart people, make sure you guys respect one another and not talk about something that someone can find inappropriate. So thank you guys again. I hope you guys have an amazing week, and let's make sure that we start this week and end this week on a green note. Take care, guys.